My name is Kelley Steven-Waiss. I'm so excited to be here today to talk to you about HR innovation. I am the former EVP and Chief Human Resource Officer at Extreme Networks. And how I got into this work around innovation was the fact that one day I was very frustrated with how my work was going in HR. I wanted to disrupt it. I actually left the profession and went into Genentech Roche in product development, helped them build their innovation management function. And while there, was enlightened by the fact that I could actually come back and disrupt the function. So here I am. I co-founded WorkLab with Sally Thornton, my partner. She had a way to really bring this to market, this idea, and bring design thinking to HR. And so what I'd like to do today is give you all an opportunity to have a WorkLab-like experience. And we're going to start out with a little video clip to get us rolling.
What I care about is how people stay intentional and stay curious about making their lives better, because how we spend our days at work is how we spend a large part of our lives. Work is often something that can be inspiring, but at the same time overwhelming. If we don't examine it, then trends happen that aren't intended. Talking with individuals about what's possible within work, they all sort of said that they feel as if work could be better, but they don't know what to do about it.
In every company, there's plenty of room for improvement.
How do we allow people to be creative in rethinking work that doesn't require a CEO's approval, that doesn't require a budget, that doesn't require resources? It's actually just our ingenuity at work. We think about this when we talk about our products or our customers, things that are bottom line to a company. We often forget how to apply it to ourselves.
It can be fun, or it can be hard. It all depends on the way you look at things, your attitude. Here's how it applies to an office. First, of course, know your job. Enjoy it.
WorkLab is an accelerator of ideas, a community of design thinking professionals who explore one design challenge. Then we collaborate with other people in different industries who have the same challenge. We build fast. We bring tools and materials to actually build prototypes. And the key part of it is how do we create community over time where we're building, sharing, and learning experiments around how do we do work better. We do the pre-work so that we can transform really difficult work challenges and allow you to go from feeling like it's a big problem to, wow, this is a very discernible small problem that I can tackle. Whether you're at a big company like a Google or an Airbnb or the small startup, we are looking for fantastic people who care about work. So this is a great way to spend a day applying design thinking to make work better.
Remember those simple rules of office etiquette, and you'll get along in the business world.
At the end of the day, we're curating a wonderful community of people who are really committed to making work better. And if that's something that resonates with you, we'd love to have you apply.
What am I seeing that's coming in the future in terms of work? We're going to have a lot more project-based work. Right now in the US, 35% of our workforce is free agents. 35%. Did any of you realize that? That is going to grow to about 50%. Half of the workforce will be free agents over the next 10 years. So in HR, the way that we're running human resources today, built on job codes and hierarchies and families and ring fencing jobs, is not going to work in the future. We're going to have to open up and think about things differently. We're going to have talent platforms that help us source and deploy talent. We're going to have a new world order in terms of the type of people that are coming in. I have one millennial at home. I have 3 Gen Zs up behind them, but my millennial Expect that everything's transparent and open, and I share wherever I am, whenever I put photos on Instagram. And so that generation is not like those of us that are Gen Xers or baby boomers, where our pay is private. Where when we go to the grocery store, we're probably not tweeting that and letting our whole network know. We might be on Facebook and playing with that, but at limited distributions. So we have a sense of privacy that they don't have. So when it comes to pay and communications and expectations in the workforce, that's a very different world order. And many of them, by the year 2025, will be leaders. They will be managing us in some cases. So you can imagine that's going to push us out of our comfort zone, right? Many millennials will have 25 jobs over the course of their career, the way that we look at jobs today. My parents maybe had 2, right? I maybe will have half of the 20, but that's a lot of roles, you know, which means that they're reinventing themselves all the time. So what we're seeing is the opportunity to break work down from jobs into what we call services. And those services could be utilized in different percentages. So much like anyone who worked in a professional services firm, you might be on 3 or 4 different projects. It's not a job anymore. You just have projects and you're deployed on those projects. So we in HR are going to need to understand how to deploy talent. And that's something that you'll learn in design thinking, is that what you start with is not always where you land. In HR, we like to build something for perfection. We sit there and we build a program and then we launch it. And sometimes by the time we launch it, it's lost all of its relevance or value because we were too busy perfecting it. We didn't learn how to experiment and always pilot and just get something out there and try it. And we're afraid of the F word, failure. But what I always say is don't fail fast, learn fast, right? You've got to experiment. So design thinking to me, in my own words, is not creating in a cave, but stepping out and getting in the user's shoes and doing a lot of observation and listening in order to create something you might not have thought you would have created in the beginning. It's a solution you might not have come up with had you just sat there and designed it yourself. I want you to pull out this handout. I am a part of a group called CREATE, with the HR in it. CREATE, we say. That is looking at reimagining HR, and Eva Sage-Gavin's going to come in December and talk to you about some of this work. But I thought this was, we have volumes of articles and work going on right now, tools and resources. I'm actually leading a work stream with Deborah Barber, who is also a part of the HR Strategy Forum, on rewiring the actual tools and platforms that we may be using. And we are actually building those platforms and tools for use, for common sharing, not to sell or but to start disseminating. Because if we really want to create a movement, we've got to start giving it to you and put it in your hands to try it. But we're sort of the forward thinkers, so we're putting a lot of this stuff together, and it's everything from what are the stakeholders expecting from us and getting them ready for that and getting to define it, to what are the tools that we have to use, how does our role change in leading HR. This actually looks at the role of a CHRO in 2025 and trying to actually put terminology around it for the new age. And you'll see that we use the imagery of a tree with leaves, and the trunk of the tree is kind of the foundational capabilities, and then those leaves off the tree are things that we're going to have to do in the future. And you'll notice that I call it the workforce engineer, because we're kind of the COO for people. You know, we're moving the resources around, we're determining the cost structure, we'll have predictive analytics. We might be able to pull a team through a platform, pull a team together on a project and predict the outcomes of that team. And we won't have to put the team together. the machine will put the team together and it will say, based on utilization rates, prior successes, if you put team A together, that product, if you're in semiconductor, for example, will tape out X amount of time for this amount of cost. Boom, in seconds. That's pretty powerful for us, right? That's a different conversation we're having with the CEO and the Chief Operating Officer and the CFO. We're talking about fundamentally looking at costs. Another thing that we're talking about is something called return on labor employed, which is an algorithm that actually quantifies the value of the workforce. And white papers are being written about this. You'll probably see it written up in Harvard Business Review. Corporate Executive Board has gotten hold of it now. And that's through CollabWorks. So if you go to www.collabworks.com, that's another one of my colleagues. But it's really exciting stuff. And what I mostly wanted to come here today and share with you is just give you a chance to open up your mind. Try something on that's different. Sometimes it's like writing with your left hand, but I guarantee we need this. And Carol Dweck from Stanford wrote a great book, and I'll give you a couple good books to read. One of them is called Mindset. Carol's belief is that we all should have a growth mindset, that we will have to acquire new skills and reinvent ourselves and reimagine ourselves several times. But you have to have a growth mindset to do that. You have to believe that you can evolve. Another great book is by John Boudreau called Lead the Work. It talks a lot about Diane Gerson's work at IBM, that platform that she built, how she's moving talent around. She's way ahead of her time. And this concept of work being broken down into units instead of jobs, and the influence of the contingent worker, free agent nation. So it's all this great stuff's coming. We want to make sure that we are not a dying breed of a profession. We just need to reimagine ourselves because talent is going to be our most competitive advantage in the future. Instead of that, they are our most, people are our greatest asset that we always heard. Now talent is at the top of the agenda. And I can tell you, I got on a public board this year. The reason why I got on a public board is because the board is starting to go look around and go, yeah, you're a CEO, you're a CFO, but none of you have had to manage talent. None of you are looking at it through an acquisition through the lens of talent. And there's massive consolidating going on, right, and integrating. So it is our time to kind of seize the moment, recognize that we need to disrupt ourselves and reimagine ourselves. So I encourage you to do that. I hope you had fun today, and thank you so much for having me.